I just envision them doing lip service like a QA department. Yeah, we checked that.
All right, you guys are good to go whenever you want. Click the present button. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So, this is not what we did. That was a little joke for the nerds. All right, so we did a project that has a real-world use for where I work. It's essentially it automates and digitizes a lot of stuff that we do on paper, and we do a lot of stuff through emailing stuff through our phones and text messaging, and it's a mess. And there's no real central repository other than there's a folder on the boat of a lot of this paperwork, and a lot of us don't even do the paperwork because it's so tedious that we just don't care. It's pretty much fire me, I don't care, I'm not doing the paperwork. I'll do some of the paperwork, I'm not doing all of it. So if you make it easier and you make it mobile friendly and mobile first, and you can do it on your phone and it doesn't take you any extra time, that actually makes it easier, then you'd use it and make it easier for everybody. So we had a mission: make a project with a real world use and with a real customer value in mind. Now, all these photos are actually from where I work and actually from the boats, and this I took from while driving the boat and not trying to crash into stuff. Don't look him up. All right, so the problem is we have two boats. There's two bars. There's three captains. There's 4 different bartenders. The boat operation on 7 days a week. Sometimes 16 hours a day. Sometimes we have to split shifts in the boats and change them out because you can only be there so long in a day. We have like 14 different types of trips that we run on the boats, and they have varying lengths of time. Some are charters, some are point to point, some are just a tour, and that's an hour. The boats do a lot, and they basically in the summertime they don't stop. They only stop tied up to the dock long enough to kick everybody off and put a new crowd of people on. So it's a nightmare to manage because not only that, we have to manage the bars. The bar staff has to manage supplies on hand. We have to manage stupid things like toilet paper. How much toilet paper do we have? We don't know. How much ice is in the ice machine? We don't know. There's nowhere to tell that other than the general manager has to text you and go, can you go open up the ice machine, tell me how many bags of ice I have to order ice. Can you go downstairs and look at the black tank, which is the sewage tank? Can you look at the sewage tank and tell me how full it is? Well, I have to call for a sewage truck. It's a nightmare. If you do these check-ins every day and he can get to them with a one click, he doesn't have to call you and you don't have to talk to him. So that was the graph means nothing. It's a joke on mo money, mo problems. So. See more. The solution was to centralize and digitize the vessel maintenance, supplies, vessel manifest logs. A manifest log is required by Coast. So, if you don't know, I'm a Coast Guard licensed captain. We're required by Coast Guard regulations that when you take a trip with passengers out, you must leave a log somewhere on shore, either whether digital or not, of how many people are on board, how many crew members are on board, where you're going, what your expected time will be back. That's what you have to leave. Should the boat disappear, they have an idea where you were and how many people they're looking for. And you have to do that. Whether you put it on a postcard and stick it in a mailbox or put it in an envelope somewhere, just so it's there. You can't have it on the boat because the boat sinks, all the information sinks with the boat. That's kind of what that comes from. We do it right now with an email, and it's kind of a pain in the ass because we never remember to do it. You're trying not to use your phone behind the wheel and make it look like you're texting people, but you're really you're sending an email to an email box that we have on Gmail with boats going on this trip, this time, we left at this point with this passengers, this crew. It's a pain. And then when you get back, you got to do another email and send it, then we're back. All right, so this is us. I had been kicking around this design for a while, so this was something I showed up with the design and we kind of kicked it off from there. I did the Firebase database in and out. I created some reports. I managed the project as well as the design. Will did a fair amount of the JavaScript, the Ajax and the API integration, Google Auth, and Google Maps, which was cool. Ruthie did the entire front end, which was like an enormous amount of work. She's been awesome. She's also, as you can see here, an ice road trucker and an amateur yo-yo champion. I made that up. All right, so what does it do? It's a check-in in the beginning of the day. As you get in as a captain, we have to check the boat out. You have to go through the boat and make sure that everything's the way it's supposed to be. So you check your fuel levels. You go check the oil. Simple things that you would do in any fleet, whether you're driving a truck or whether you're driving a forklift or you're driving a boat that you carry people in. You check out the boat out at the end of the day. You do your passenger manifests, vessel maintenance logs. If you do a maintenance task, you have to log that. You're supposed to log that. You're supposed to keep track of it. This does it really easy. It's one click. Current weather, it gives you a current weather, which is pretty awesome. Future revisions, we're going to do a bartender version, so the bartender can keep control of it. It does more inventory management, more than anything else. And the manager can easily, with one quick login, and see where the boats are and what the status of the boats are, how much fuel's on board, what the tank levels are, and who's the last one to check it out, that kind of thing. Come back here. Silly goose. So, who would serve as any maritime organization that has even one boat could use this, but this is portable really to anything. Any kind of fleet maintenance. This just happens to be geared towards a maritime organization. And that, why do they need it? I already explained that. So, let's skip by that. What doesn't it do? It doesn't do point of sale. There's better stuff that does it for us. Squarespace, the Square is awesome. It does that for us. We don't need that. It doesn't need pulling scheduling. There's other apps that do that and they do it better. Time Clock or When I Work are two awesome apps for scheduling and time clocking and those kinds of things. And real-time positioning, we don't need any of that stuff because that stuff is already built into the boats and stuff. All right, so we use JavaScript. It's a lot of JavaScript. It's probably about 700 or 800 or more lines of code, probably over 1,000 at this point. Foundation, which we hate. Where, I still don't know what it does, other than gives me errors. jQuery, obviously, Moment. Firebase, which was cool and frustrating. Google Authentication, which was...
So Google Authentication was a pain in the neck, to say the very least. But overall, it could be integrated a little bit better. One of the problems that we ran into is cross-origin, also with the API. We implemented the Google Authentication through the Firebase, so it made it a little bit simpler. But some of the documentation was a little misleading, and so that's one of the problem areas for that. So in addition to that, one of the things that was not listed here was also the APIs. The APIs we found were somewhat friendly and somewhat not forgiving. If they required Node.js, we haven't gotten to that yet, so it's kind of something that we're going to expand upon and bridge to the back end, so to say, once we get to that section. And in addition to that, one of the errors that we saw was the cross origins and also empty arrays and empty after the AJAX pulls, which was an interesting error because it didn't actually produce an error, it was just missing information from the AJAX call.
You do a get and it returns an array with nothing in it and it makes it look like you got stuff that you got. It's awesome. It's great when it does that, right? And live reporting stuff. Okay. Future proofing. Well, should we probably go into? Do you want to do the actually run through some stuff? We'll go to the future proofing here.
You guys made Slack?
Yeah, we did. It's awesome.
I invented HTML.
And the piano key necktie?
There's
Just hover, yeah.
okay. I'm not smart. Oh, yeah, do your thing.
Okay. Okay, this is the login screen. I'm probably gonna make it smaller after this though, because it was built to be on a phone, so.
It's
the
mobile
stuff-
first,
yeah,
mobile friendly.
mobile
It has to be mobile first. It has to be able to be done with your phone. Nobody walks around with a laptop. It's easier to walk around in an engine room with a phone in your hand. Error.
Wrong password.
Oh, how did I call that one?
So even though we weren't supposed to use alerts, we used them anyways just to make sure. So
Yeah, I've seen that.
included with the APIs, they're based off of the geolocation, which is built into the Google Maps API. That sets off a trigger, so then it sets off another set of functions. One to get a current forecast from the Weather Underground app, another to grab the weather alerts or any storm alerts that are happening in the area, and that was based off of the Forecast.io app, which is now Dark Sky. And then the current radar, which actually picks a radar over a span of a window of maybe about 10 minutes or so, and that shows you any storms that are in the area.
So should I log in as the captain?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you log in as the captain, how do I do this?
But just you want to do it.
Okay, fine.
First thing you're going to do when you log in as a captain is you're going to do the boat checkout. You're going to pick up, so
You select your options. He has 2 boats, so we'll just pick that one. I'm not gonna go through all of the inputs, you know how to type. But, okay. So that would be the first form. Right now, everything's displaying on the screen at once. What we wanna do later on is have only what's relative to them at that moment pop up. So it's just really long.
we wanted to do it in modals, and Foundation stinks. So,
And there isn't a lot of documentation on Foundation that's relevant to actually integrating secondary sources. And so a lot of it's directed towards either SAS or less. And that's kind of one of the problems we ran into is there's a lot of research and it requires back-end constraint. We haven't gotten to it yet.
So this button here though, when they are out on they're able to see what's active, there's dummy, it's just a table broke right now.
so we can submit one. So,
Wanna-
yeah, sure. And so, a lot of what we do is, this is probably